Controller I built here, which does some pretty incredible power. I think I've seen around 250, 300 amps through this controller, and I've run it at 100 volts. I'm going to set up something probably with 20S LiPo, so 84 volts fully charged, I believe, for this. That'll work pretty good. I don't want to spin this little motor too fast. That's going to be a fair bit of voltage above factory settings, so that'll let it spin pretty fast. I'm upgrading these phase wires right here. These are the stock phase wires. They're tiny little pieces of wire, but if you look underneath this cover, there's actually a fairly thick, not crazy thick, but a fairly thick set of windings there. I think this thing, my guess is this thing could peak 6 horsepower at the wheel. It's on the dyno, so I decided I'd make this video as I'm making progress, because this is actually going to be a surprise for my brother's Christmas present if it works out. Okay, I have a little fan I've mounted here on the outside cover of this motor. I've drilled some holes. If I shut the fan off, inside there's some holes pulling some air out. Unfortunately, the fan spins opposite direction from what I thought it would spin. Nonetheless, there's inside holes and outside holes. I drilled in the cover. I upgraded the phase wires as I showed. I made a battery pack that's 100 volts fully charged. Right now I'm just running the fan from a power supply because I got to put a 12 volt supply on there. And one cool thing I found is you can turn this up and really make the fan, you listen to that. Try and zoom out so you can see both things at once. So you can crank the fan up pretty good. I've been able to go to about 25 volts. And it really makes that thing rip. You can really feel some air coming out of there. So I'm going to keep it maybe around 20 volts because I'm not ready to do a dyno run. I just give it a little bit of throttle and holy crap, this thing's going to have power now. I've just been rolling the throttle on as slow as I can. So it's just spun on the dyno and I'm only giving it like a 10th throttle right now. Here's a little more. It's got so much power. Like the power turned down using my little program there to flash a controller, but I got the power turned way down. This is a cheap Chinese controller, so it does not monitor phase currents. It's not a really good controller, and if it blows up, it's not the end of the world. I continue if I can afterwards, but this is power run number 1, so I'm going to have to start at part throttle because it's really rough when it gets going. Once it gets going a little bit, then I can pin it. Here we go. We'll just get past that little rough spot there. And this will smooth out. It seems to smooth out as we get the power up. So now we're actually full throttle. So we're already at 3 horsepower at the wheel. Alright, I'm going to do the second power run here. So far the temperature of the motor seems to be alright. Keep that handy. Anything can happen. I'm turning the power up to about double of the last run. So let's see what we get here. Whoa, that's a big burst of power, that's for sure. Yeah, that thing's got some balls. 6.6 horsepower. I'm already over what I figured I'd be able to make. I can add in voltage and current. So the current, it's a little bit rough, and that could be the actual controller not controlling the current very smoothly, but we can change the to efficiency. And max efficiency, let's look here, efficiency 76%. So as a rule, at the peak power, it looks like I still have a ways to go, so let's turn the power up some more. To do power run number 4 here, I just turned up the battery current without messing with the phase current at all. Basically the phase current is supposed to be the current flowing through these 3 phase wires through the motor and through the controller. The battery current is from the battery to the controller. These cheap controllers only measure battery current, so they just estimate phase current. This thing could blow up at any time because I've kind of got it cranked up a bit and I've really modified the shunt a lot inside. Nonetheless, let's try another power run here. Gotta turn it on, should be okay. I didn't even pin it right off the bat, because if I pin it right from the get-go, it's just such a huge burst of power. It's not even good. And in fact, I'm gonna have to figure out how to turn that back down. But let's go to analysis. We're at 10.3 horsepower and 309 foot-pounds of torque at the rear wheel, all from this little shitbox scooter. This is actually a 500-watt motor that I've hopped up, and it's, I don't even, there's a little bit of heat there now. I feel it. Just, I don't even know if the temperature camera or temperature gun, sorry, I don't have my thermal camera at the shop. Yeah, it's like 20 degrees. You can just feel it because the shop's like 8 degrees Celsius. So I'll run number 5. Let's get out of the way here. I was in the phase current up a little bit more. From there, I think we're kind of at the limits of the battery. Right now it's only 9 degrees Celsius in the shop, so I need to heat the battery up to get some more power out of it. I'll probably come back and try and do that tomorrow. I'm having quite a bit of fun. But let's do this run and see if up in the phase current, which should technically give us some more, torque at the wheel. Phase current is supposed to control torque. Now these cheap Chinese controllers, this thing here, it's a 24 MOSFET, 4110, like that, IR, International Rectifier. I've built a few of these back in the day and I've kind of got away from it. This is just sitting on the shelf for like, it was out of my BMX a long time ago. It was sitting on the shelf for like 5 years. I've forgotten even how to play with them, but it's pretty fun. So I think we're going to do another run here. So we're at 95 volts, not bad. Let's see what we can get. Ready? Oh, I might have blown. Nope, overcurrent. It's back down a little bit, and I enabled the power throttle blowout protection setting. I can't remember what it's even called, but nonetheless, we can actually look in here before we do it. Throttle blowout protection. So I enabled that, and then I, because that'll allow the throttle to not, like if it blows out and accidentally gets shorted to 5 volts, it won't let it work. It'll shut it off. And the same thing if it's got to be within a proper range. And the overcurrent detection delay, I put that to 0. I can't remember what that does, but I think 0 is better. I know the overcurrent detection delay allows you to have a little bit of a burst of power. I wanted to turn that down because I was really pushing it. So I had it at 0.1 seconds. We put it to 0. Hopefully that's going to help things. Nonetheless, we're ready, I think, here for a power run. Hopefully this one's a little smoother than the last one. Let's double check the motor temp. Side of the housing's at 20-something degrees. Oh, we got spots in there that are 30. So we're getting some heat inside there. I'm gonna let this thing cool for as much as possible, but it is pulling air through, so we're doing the right thing. I think we'll do a run and then that'll be enough for tonight. I'll heat up the battery and come back with a cold motor tomorrow. Let's see what we get here. Oh man, that's awesome. So what I'm actually going to do with this thing is there's a 3-speed switch that I can hook up to these wires. I'll have a high-low and then I'll have a boost, which will be push this button for NOS. It'll be electric NOS if he wants to drag race somebody. Yeah, 10 horsepower again, 301 foot-pounds of torque. It's pretty repetitive there. Efficiency at that number, still 68-something% efficient at that number, which means the motor and everything has more in it, but the battery's kind of limited because you're down to 74 volts, and this is a 24S battery. So let's go 74 divided by 24. So we're sagging to 3 volts a cell. We're really pounding on these cells. And put a battery warmer, just a little heated blanket thing on around the battery to keep it warm. It's not that warm yet, but we're gonna try a dyno run here. See if this adds any power. See if this There we go. Here we go. Stand back. So I could feel that thing. It wasn't super smooth. It might have been too stiff a voltage, or it could have been low voltage cut still. We'll see in the dyno graph. Yeah, it didn't make as much power, but if we look at the peak power, still putting 12 kilowatts in voltage. I probably already had voltage. Here at peak power, it sagged to 80, so it's not the end of the world. I probably have to peak torque still. Yeah, it was down 100 foot-pounds of torque. It didn't like that run. I probably have to go get my computer and change some settings. It jumped so hard. I'm gonna have to strap it down more. Good run. 11.4 horsepower, 328 foot-pounds of torque at the wheel. We're down in the 50s for efficiency, so there's not a lot of power left to be had. We're close to the limits of the battery too in this cold weather. So, but either way, that's not too bad. And then efficiency, voltage, wheel torque, it's all kind of there. We can do the max current too. So the current max right here, 185 amps. That's about all you can get out of that cold battery. I've been heating it with a little heated blanket. It's on high, but I think we're done for the day. Merry Christmas, Dale.